everyone, and welcome. I know it takes a little bit of time to get really to go live on and now it's saying it's dropped something, so I don't know. But let's see, having trouble streaming. All right. Well, at least it's live on YouTube, so we'll just stick with that and not stress out about it. So anyway, welcome to this episode of Martifacts and Other Things That Matter. And today it's
Love
Other
it.
Things That Matter. So
Woo!
with me, your guest, Marty McNabb, your host, Marty McNabb. And I wanted to share how I met Ayana and Deborah. And that's brought us to this. And when they told me about what they had in their collection, I was like, I have to have them on as guests. So, anyway, I met both Deborah and Ayana through Christina Vidovich and Amy Newsom, who are the co-hosts of a wonderful in-person event called Women Getting Visible. So I met Christina probably, I'd say about 2 years ago through LinkedIn. I call her a LinkedIn lurker. And I'm grateful that she found me there. But then she ended up joining me at the 333 Collective with Diana Place and decided that she was going to do her first in-person conference in DC last October. And I just so happened to get a chance to go. The timing was right, and I went there, and they're doing it again. And that's how I met both the guests today, Ayana and Deborah. Deborah is one of the fellow speakers at this conference that's happening October 9th through the 12th in DC. There'll be information. We'll be putting information about it because please join us if you can. It'll be wonderful. It's going to be a great thing. And I'm so excited to meet everybody in person because I didn't meet either one of you last year. But Ayana, as far as I know, you're helping behind the scenes. You're assisting,
Correct.
and Deborah, you are a fellow speaker. So I'm so excited about this. But on our meet and greet with fellow speakers and people who are going to be working there, the team, so to speak. Ayana's the team. I found out when I talked about my events with Show and Tell, and I love the stories that get attached to things. I found out that Ayana and Deborah both have an archive full of things that they cherish, things that they love, things that bring back memories from their Girl Scout days. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the show and tell section of the event and have one of you show one of the objects and share its story, and then we will kind of switch back and forth, and then we'll talk a little bit more about everybody's work. So, who would like to go first?
Amazing.
Oh,
I'm happy to go first.
yeah. All right, go ahead.
Or
Awesome. Please.
either way. Hi, everyone. I'm Deborah. Thank you so much, Marty, for having us. This is way more fun than I imagined it would be already because my search for my Girl Scout artifacts, I was, thinking, I know I have this bag full of badges and pins and things that I earned, with my hard earned crafting and things.
Yeah.
And I literally just found it about a half an hour ago. So it was like opening a time capsule.
Yeah.
So I will
Yeah.
just quickly show you. I'm
Yeah.
holding spread out in front of me on my desk are stacks and piles of little colorful badges
Aw.
and all kinds of, I know my council and
Oh.
the 1985 cookie challenge encounter and wings, which who knows what I got wings for, but I got them. And there's like Girl Scout pins, and I was just this is like all the cool badges that you get when you accomplish like a certain task or whatever.
Wow.
And there's all these little collectible badges. At one point in time, they were sewn onto like like a sash, a green sash. I had a little Girl
Yeah.
Scout uniform. Lots and lots of cookie sales, which I think is hilarious, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. Um, and then just like all kinds of things like skating and you know I don't know what some of these represent anymore. But I also found this cool little setup here where it was like the bridge to juniors when you go from
Oh,
being like a brownie. So
oh,
you start out in Girl Scouts as a brownie, if I'm remembering correctly, because ladies and gents, this was like 30 years, 30 plus 5 years ago, something like that. So we're talking 80s, no internet, hello.
right.
And so this is the coveted, you want to fill this thing up, right? And
Oh,
each of these little pie pieces represents a different level of accomplishment to get you from being a brownie to achieving a different level in your Girl Scout journey. I don't really know the right terminology, but
yeah.
I remember
Wow.
vividly completing that little wheel and just feeling
Oh,
like this giant shift in sort of accomplishment and also the feeling of reaching a goal, right? Leveling up, meeting a challenge, showing up, doing the work, and getting rewarded by getting this little badge. And I'm laughing
mm,
because I am so motivated by gamification. Like
oh,
these little badges, I think are the beginning of how my brain functions, my little ADHD brain. It's like, oh, right, we didn't have ADHD in the 80s, ladies. So what we had was stay focused on sewing until you get the sewing badge. And this is a bicycle badge. And I don't remember what all of these are for, but clearly that one is for swimming.
yes.
And I
Oh,
believe this
wow.
was for swimming a certain length in a lake. I'm from
Oh,
upstate New York, so we
oh,
did a lot of like 2 day, away from home, like overnight camp, someplace in the woods, and we would do a bunch of things, and we would come out of it getting these badges. Um, this one I think was like a peace initiative. There's a little dove coming out of a
oh,
something there. I don't know if that's a nut, what that is.
yeah.
This one I
Looks like a
vividly
nut.
remember learning how to
Start a
start a
fire.
campfire. So, and I'm
Mhm.
still to this day, my dad was a firefighter, and I consider
Oh,
myself a fire tender.
wow.
Um, I have no idea what we did to get that one. It looks like a wagon. I don't know what we did, but this was for camping overnight away from home from mom, right? Like just like
Oh,
get growth initiatives. And this was
right.
a little crafting one, learning how to sew or something. So,
Oh,
anyways, I love
wow.
these so much, and I actually would love to somehow commemorate these,
Right.
because they do sort of remind me of an age at a time in my life when things were very simple and little
Yeah.
simple goals. Like I remember part of the thing was that you don't try to do them all at once, right? You're like working towards a badge.
Right.
So if I was working towards the bicycling badge, that was like the thing I was focusing on, like taking off my training wheels, like these little small growth moments, and then they're being celebrated, by these wonderful little colorful badges,
Celebrated.
which I have to say, the quality of these, look at how well
They're
that's stitched. Like,
beautiful.
who made these?
I know.
Thank you, Girl Scouts. And I also found my troop numbers. I was troop, I think it was 684. So I got these little
Oh,
guys.
wow.
But the crown jewel of the pile are these little baddies right here, which is really hilarious and very much translates into
Cookie.
what I do professionally, because these are the badges that I got for selling cookies. And your girl knocked on so many doors. I think I won the cookie sales thing like 6 years ago. I was like insane. I would just like pull my wagon up. I came with a little wagon, and I had
Yeah.
samples and stuff that I had gotten, and I would go to the
Oh,
door and just be like, "Hi, I have my wagon full of cookies, and I think you're really gonna like the chocolate ones." Like I was very um, stoked to sell my cookies and get the badges and achieve these goals. And today what I do professionally is I work with women entrepreneurs to create really simple, really clean pathways for their work to be found and for them to have really easy sales using internet-based tools,
yeah.
because it can be very overwhelming and very confusing. And so I've never made this connection until like this moment. But there's a really early seed from the Girl Scouts of me being a salesperson. So I appreciate this
Yeah.
opportunity to have that aha. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is so fascinating. And I love what you said about how it's sort of like those the challenges, the breaking down, picking one thing to do and then doing it in small things. And then once you achieve it, here's the badge. Like I hadn't thought about that too. And like you said, ADHD, as well. It just, but it basically is like you said, I think kind of, it's training. It's training to
It's leadership
like
and training.
stay focused and do one thing at a time and then celebrate that win.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. And I mean, who knows? Like, I'm sure, for my mom, she was like, amazing, an hour where my kids are, out of the house. But for us, it was like this whole little world of exploring because we went to undergrad, we went to a Catholic school in upstate New York. It was like a tiny little class of people. There was not, and I just remember being really excited to go and be around all these other girls, many of whom went to public schools. And it was like a way for me to also like learn things that were
yeah,
outside of what I was having access to.
yeah,
So I remember loving interacting with the other girls that were like different than me and learning about them and learning about different cultures. And it was an exciting place for me to get to go to on a weekly basis. And then
yeah,
obviously they're also, giving you these little
yeah,
ascension towards getting a goal, and it's really interesting. Funny fact,
yeah.
I have a course that I have that's sort of in the behind the scenes of my community for people who are moving through like new to marketing, new to sales. There's all these high level trainings that I've done, but they are totally gamified inside the portal. So as you go
Oh,
through each lesson, once you finish it and you do the homework, you get a badge. And I never even made
never
the connection again.
thought.
So Girl Scouts are in me.
Yes, Girl Scouts ended up setting the foundation,
Yeah.
and I hadn't thought like just how like I believe that for a period of time I was a brownie, but I moved 9 times before high school, and so I never ended up settling into anything like that. But I knew about it obviously because of the cookies, and then I also knew about it because my mother lived in Hilton Head or went down to Hilton Head in the winter, and we'd always go to Savannah and see Juliet, the founder, Juliet
Oh,
Gordon Lowe.
you know what? That explains why I got the Juliet Lowe.
Yes, yes, the
I got
founder.
and I was like, "Who's Juliet Lowe?" And I
Oh, oh, the history. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so I've been surrounded by it, but it's really interesting. And I love the idea. That's one of what you talked about, trying to figure out what do you want to do to kind of with these things to honor, like obviously you said there was a sash. Ayana has her actual vest. So I'll get there in a minute, but you're thinking about how can I create a piece of art like history that recognizes it in a way. And that's one of the questions I always ask the people who come to my YouTube channel, my show Things That Matter with Marty McNabb, and at my in-person events, my show and tell events, is how can we keep the things without keeping the things, maybe? Or how can, like what are the options that we can think about, ways to keep things, because we all get kind of overwhelmed with things as well. So how can we balance that? So I love that you're considering that in your whole this process, Deborah, too.
Yeah, I think I know what I'm gonna do because there's not so many of them. I could probably get, like a medium or a small to medium size frame and sew them all onto like a beautiful piece of fabric and like, you know, either
Yeah,
I don't currently do like needlepoint or anything that
yeah.
would be able to, but maybe put some words in there and kind of almost like a collage but with fabric.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. But I would highly suggest that, because one of the things that I always ask as a follow-up on my podcast is, what do you want to have happen with these things that matter when you're dead and gone? Like, this is legacy. These things will be left behind. And wondered what you're thinking about in terms of that. And so if you are thinking about that, I highly suggest that you end up like writing a little bit of the story and then putting on the back of the
I
frame
love
or
that
doing a
idea.
QR code that they can scan and hear this thing because you've made all this aha, like, huh, this Girl Scouts have really impacted me and is continuing to. Like, so I think just because it's not that the things matter, it's the stories that do. So I'm excited to find out, do you have any thoughts about what you want to do with this thing that matters?
I prior to this moment, I kept them for a reason
Yeah.
because I was proud of it, right? I think it's because it really is like a time capsule. I'm having lots of flooding with lots of memories,
Yeah.
but I think I love the idea of tucking a note into the backside of a frame, or would have thought a QR code that leads to like an audio or something, but that's next level. But at very minimum, a handwritten note to tell the story of why I
Yeah.
kept them
Yeah.
and what they mean to me and what they might mean to someone else would give them more value too. So thank you for
Absolutely.
that suggestion. I love it.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you for sharing
Yeah, and
this.
I'm
I
excited to
love
hear about Ayana's
I
more current
know. Exactly,
relationship.
exactly. I just can't believe that two people on the same meet and greet for the Women Getting Visible were like, I keep this. So, I'm like, well, we have to be on the next thing. So I'm so glad that we were able to make it happen. So thank you very much for starting us off, Deborah. And I'll
Yeah.
pass the torch to Ayana. So please, what did you bring to show and tell?
Alrighty, so I brought a few things, but I wanted to add a little bit of context when you were saying, like, oh, you were shocked that there were two Girl Scouts, because, they say once a Girl Scout, always a Girl Scout. But
Like a Marine.
yeah, fair enough. But something that I have come to discover is a lot of women who are change agents in different ways started out as Girl Scouts. So
Really?
since I'm, yeah, more involved in the back behind the scenes and production of activities and things for Girl Scouts now as a through partnership, which I'll get into down the line
Yeah.
a little bit later,
Yeah.
the more that I'm around, the more I'm like, oh wow. And it becomes more, it's like a sorority type thing. Like you're surprised at first, but then the deeper you get into it, it's like, oh well, that makes sense. It's kind of like the soil that nurtures young women to become the leaders of today and tomorrow and
Yeah.
yeah, and next week and in the past as well. So
Yeah.
for me, as someone who's full circling around, it's not as shocking because I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, well, of course there's another Girl Scout here because that's where we end up, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Leadership. And that's certainly what Juliet, the museum, talked about, like, it's literally leadership training. And I was just like, wow, like, you know, but fun, like fun,
yeah.
it's like you can learn, like you said, you can gamify it and make it fun. So anyway, enough about that. What did you bring to show and tell?
Alrighty. So I actually have my vest that I brought today and
Yes.
my numbers fell off and whoops, my microphone's down there. I was trying to figure out what my troop number was, and now I remember it was 2288. And I
Oh,
remember I had to write it down because my numbers kept falling off. And my mom and all the other moms could not figure out how to keep our badges on because we were so active. So we were like running around, and so they would try to sew them on and they would fall off. So a lot of mine are, hold on, let me turn
Oh,
this
I'm so
off.
jealous. Look at this
I
vest.
know, right?
Yeah,
Look
a
at this
lot. Oh,
vest.
whoops. I'm trying to turn the effect
The
off, but
blur
I don't
off.
know how to do it. Anyway,
That's all
it's
right.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just put it in front of my face. So it's
Yep.
actually super interesting because I now like help with the nation's capital. And
That's
so that looks like doing workshops, speaking, and it's just funny because I started out with the
I
nation's
know.
capital.
I
That's
I
know.
also
amazing.
have the same pins as Deborah. I think we both have this one. Yeah.
Yes. I'm bringing mine to DC in October.
Okay,
Yay.
perfect. And then I don't know what this one is.
Huh.
4-leaf
I
Oh,
d-
it's like a
clover.
four
Or
with
a
no,
clover or
but it's
something.
a
Yeah.
three-leaf clover. Huh.
Yeah.
And so some of my badges have fallen off, as you can
Yeah.
see.
I wonder if we have
But
any. Oh my God, you have so many good
yeah.
ones.
And then I can't remember honestly what any of these badges mean.
I don't think I have
But I
any of
just,
those.
yeah,
No.
they had us put the small ones in the front, and then the back
Oh my
have
God.
like
Oh,
our larger
yes. Look at your.
patches. But as you can see, some of them
Mission
have fallen
Possible.
off.
There we
Yeah,
go with
20.
cookies.
Yeah. Oh, let me see. Now, I never won a bunch of cookie sales. I want to be very clear there. And we actually were not allowed to go door to door. So at least at the nation's capital, you're no longer allowed, just for obvious reasons. You're
Yep.
not allowed to go door to door. So we had to
Yeah.
do our sales at like the Safeways and like have a table, and then we could sell at our school, but we would get like really in trouble if we did door to door.
Door to
I'm
door.
guessing there's a solid. I'm going to start with a decade, but maybe 2 decades between our. I'm not sure how much of an age difference there is, but early 80s, they were just like, whatever.
Right? Oh, it's a different time.
Yes.
But this was in
Changing
2006.
times.
So this is when I had
2006?
my, yeah,
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're
2006.
20 plus years different.
Difference.
I love
Yeah.
it.
So that
Oh,
Those are-
look at that.
That's
I love-
impressive.
And I love what
Yeah.
you were saying, Deborah, like, and like looking at those, and thinking just how beautiful I mean, the colors, how
Yeah.
well done they are. Like, I'd be fascinated to find out who made these, you know?
Yeah,
They're so
and
pretty.
something
Yeah,
else
I love
that's
them.
pretty interesting is they didn't do it when I was a Girl Scout, but there's something called swaps now, and it's supposed to encourage other girls to talk to other girls. It's like a collectible, and it's just funny. So I got this swap.
Oh,
I went to when I spoke at the convention. One of the girls, let me stand in front of it. One of the girls was like, "Do you want to swap?" And I was like, "I don't have anything to give you," but she
ah,
was like, "You can just take it anyway." And it's their town is the home of cats and trains, so it's like a little safety pin. Yeah, and it was funny because I needed a safety pin for another event because my skirt was too big, and I was giving the same presentation to college students. So I used my safety pin from this girl to like get me through, and it just felt like a momentous occasion. And
yeah.
then
Oh,
something else I can
I
share.
love it.
Yeah, picture wise. So that was when I spoke at the convention.
Oh,
No, this is
amazing.
the
And
Girl Scout convention.
correct. So they have this is the first time that they had the convention in DC since I think they said like 1972 or
Oh,
75, something like that. So it's been
wow.
a good minute. And so this was from
Look
that.
at that. Oh
And I
my
just
God.
felt so like, it was just crazy for me, honestly. And
Wow.
then hold on, there's a picture I want to show you if it's in this one. Okay, so this girl is from Taiwan, and then she actually gave me another swap, which is like this keychain patch that she created. And
Oh,
so now, yeah, I have that on my keychain, and then I have a little thing. I should have brought my keys down here that says once a Girl Scout, always a Girl Scout. And it's just so funny to me how when I was younger, I was more like, let's go to camp and let's do these things. And now, almost, well, 20 years later, oh my gosh, because it's 2026. So 20 years later, now I am a part of the group that are creating these experiences for the next generation, whether that's doing camp activities with them or like 1 day things here and there or conventions. So it's just full circle.
it's
It's
amazing.
amazing. I love that you're so involved with it. It's really, really cool.
I know. And that
Yeah.
it's still like, you know, I was this summer, I ended up going on vacation up in Maine, and it was just so refreshing to be there with my friends' grandchildren who were all in the water and playing and doing like cornhole, like active, being
Hmm.
off of their devices.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I have other friends where it's like the majority of the time when I see them, the kids are on their devices. So it's just so I'm so glad that Girl Scouts is still up and strong and moving in the future, because I think it's so important. And what I loved is the encouragement of connections, right? That's the
Yeah.
other thing. Like in this day and age, we're dealing with high levels of isolation and loneliness, and having these swaps and having like it connects you across the world with somebody else, and that pin, that safety pin. I mean, yeah. So you too, the minute I talked to, I loved it because you were like, I totally get it. Like other people are like things have story, things are important. And I'm like,
Of
well,
course.
what's a museum?
Something that
Anyway,
just crossed
Deborah,
my
you had
mind
said,
that I think is like the value of which we could not have known until we were in this very digital time that we're in. But I think a big initiative of Girl Scouts is certainly was in the 80s, to help young women feel like really understand their natural environment around us and feel safe and not just comfortable, but like that they have access to survival skills, like learning how to build a fire. The number of times it's come in handy where I was able to pull together things and make a fire. I mean, I live in the Catskill Mountains in upstate New York, so that's much more relevant. But even as I lived in New York City for 30 years, there's so many moments when understanding fire is of great value
oh yeah,
and not being afraid of it, right? Knowing how it starts, how to put it out, and how to interact with it is like a major survival skill that I'm comfortable with because of this badge that I have.
yeah,
And, just thinking like, it's a happy place for me to be outdoors and in nature and grounding. And with the amount of digital technology that is like everyday life, our jobs, everything that we do, the whole world is now, you know, online, and now AI has made that just moving at a pace that feels impossible to keep up with.
yeah,
With that, having this sort of seedling of knowing that the counterbalance to that is to get into nature and get your feet in the grass and literally touch a tree, or like get yourself outside and connect with natural things.
yeah.
It's such an antidote, I think, to today's very modern technified world. And it's really, again, all kind of unfolding for me right in this conversation, that is a gift that they gave us to, like,
Many.
you're not just going to go walk through the park, like you understand how to make your way safely through different elements of nature and just interact with it safely. And I think it's just a very powerful gift.
Yeah, and confidence, all of that. Yes, Ayana.
Yeah, I just wanted to also add to that in terms of like being safe in the world or in nature, it even expands into like being safe in the actual world itself. Because my mom and I did a badge program, like it's like a virtual thing for this Girls in Kentucky Wilderness Council, but it was about like getting places safely as well, and like what items you're supposed to wear and what hairstyles make it easier or harder to, whatever can happen. So it's like it takes it even in terms of like what happens in the real world outside of just being at the camps and thing, which I love camp too. Like, don't get me wrong, that was one of my favorite parts. I still love going to Girl Scout camp to this day. And
Yeah.
also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but as a third generation Girl Scout, it's like,
Oh,
it's something that I can relate to. And like, it's like our own little club kind of
oh my
like, oh, this
God.
is what happened back when my grandma was a Girl Scout, back when my mom, and now I
Oh,
am, and now we can help the
Love
next
that.
generation. So it's,
wow.
it's, it's
Third
so,
generation.
yeah, which is
Wow.
crazy.
That is crazy. That is wild. Well, it's had a long history, so
Yeah, I love that
yeah,
so much. No,
that's
you're
great.
totally right. I mean, my mom is in an assisted living facility. She lives in a memory care facility. She had a stroke 5 years ago, and my sister and I co take care of her, but she is in a very safe, good facility. They have visits by the Girl Scouts all the
Yeah,
time, and they do arts and crafts with them. And
that's
we did that. We would go visit, we would go different places and bring our little cute little craft projects to like the elder community in our town or whatever. And just just
Mm.
interacting with, real businesses, real experiences, like you're saying. It really does lay the foundation of like agency in the world. Learning how to get places, learning how to be around older people, learning how to be
Yeah.
around official people, like whether it's the town, chief of the, police department or the fire department, or we did a lot of interactive stuff with sort of the real world, as you're saying. So it's a really great point.
They're so ahead of their time in that, it's like now the intergenerational, it's like everything's intergenerational and,
Hmm.
like you said too, Deborah, like multicultural and, whatever, like that was, the buzzword in the past. Now it's intergenerational, but it's like Girl Scouts has been doing that work for a very long time. So I
Yeah.
have one question for Ayana that I did not do my follow-up. And this is
All
even
right.
more important now that you said you're third generation. This is amazing. Oh my God. I'm like, I need to have, is your grandmother still with you?
Yes.
So I
Amazing.
could have three of you on my show one time, maybe.
There's a possibility.
That would be
No
awesome. That would be
promises.
so awesome. But my question, as I did with Deborah, have you considered what you want to have happen with this Girl Scout memorabilia, this vest that matters to you when you're dead and gone?
Honestly, I didn't even know we still had it until last year when my mom and I started working with the Girl Scouts of Nations Capital. And she was like, I think I have your vest. And it was like mid with the Kentucky Wilderness Girls. Like, we were telling them about, like I said, how to travel safely alone with
Yeah.
juniors, which is so funny because I was a junior.
Juniors.
And
Yeah.
yeah, we took a break to like take a, do whatever you need to do, get snacks and come back. And she's like rummaging through all of her belongings and things. And she's like, look, I found it. And then all the girls are like, oh my gosh. So I didn't even know we still had it until a few, like last year. So I
Yeah.
haven't thought about it
Yeah.
yet. And I feel like it's safest with my mom. So I was like, I'm going to borrow it to take a picture and I'm going to borrow it to do this recording. Then I'm going to give it right back. And so
Yes.
after that, um, yeah, I'm not too
Yeah.
sure, but after seeing
Yeah.
it and realizing like, wow, it is Nation's Capital, I'd probably do like an article about it just to like showcase what was then versus what's now. And
Yeah.
beyond that, I document everything. So I'll probably find, like I said, a digital way. But then I'm always thinking, well, what happens if technology goes away? Then what? So
Girl, talk about it.
ask me that next month. But for right now, it'll be digitally an article, digitally archived, and a
Yeah.
video. And then from there, perhaps I can.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of my relatives. She's been collecting things since I was little and eventually
Oh,
wants to turn it into a table, like a glass table full of
oh,
So
artifacts
yes.
from
cool.
like my
Yeah.
life journey. So this
Yeah.
may go into a glass table when I get to that point.
Oh, I
That's
love it.
cool.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, you're specifically what you're talking about is like I always encourage people to consider that the things that they have are, of historical significance.
Right.
They can be like we are
Yeah.
always living history and we are always leaving a legacy. We often don't think about it, but during the pandemic, the museums and historical societies were actively reaching out during the pandemic. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to walk into a museum in the future and not have anything on the walls or anything
Agreed.
on displays or whatever, everything being
Agreed.
projected. To me, I like that I can see some of the things. Of course, we're going to have some projected things, and I get that. But anyway, Deborah, I'm sorry I interrupted you, I think.
No, I was just saying I love everything she was saying. It's funny though. I think I'm pretty sure my mom was a Girl Scout, and I don't
Yeah.
have kids, but my sister's daughter was a Girl Scout. So I think we're double three generations.
That's
I
cool.
love that.
Yeah.
That is really neat. So I know Deborah you did talk a little bit about your work, as part of your show and tales, but Ayanna, I wanted to let you, and then I'll go back to you, Deborah, too, to talk a little bit in the closing, a little bit more about you and the work that you're doing and how people can find you and all those beautiful things.
Yes, and again, thank you so much for having us and myself and all the things. This is so amazing. I always love to tell stories in unique ways, and this is definitely the most unique way I've done it on a podcast. So I'm
Oh,
super
Yes.
excited about
wow.
that.
And maybe I'll get you and your grandmother and your mom on one.
That would be
Right,
amazing.
perhaps so. I can, yeah, I can promise one. I don't know the other, but I can
Okay.
promise one. But so yeah, so I actually do. I am in the digital space with the children, but helping to make it safe. So I like to say I'm a big sister, but I'm building a personal development brand for young people, um, children, teens, young adults, and helping their parents stay in communication with them along those journeys because especially with technology and things, the way that we communicate with our children has to change. There's so
Yeah.
much that they're inundated with and fed with in this social media era that we also have to be purposefully pouring positivity into them, but still having those boundaries. I don't I like gentle parenting with boundaries. That's what I say. Like yes and no. Sometimes it's just no is a complete sentence as well.
Yeah.
So for the ages of 6 to 13, I work with boys and girls through gaming. So the whole gamification thing, like Deborah
Yes,
mentioned.
yes, the connection.
Yes, exactly. But for me,
Yeah.
it is video games. So it is utilizing the technology that they're already on. So like
On.
Roblox games and Minecraft games. Number one, making them safe beyond like physically safe because it's private servers. It's just myself and my students. But also like I don't tolerate bullying. So it's a safe space emotionally, physically, and socially. And then
Cool.
they're learning real life skills like I have courses for public speaking, leadership, and all the things through the games. And I do one on ones. And then for
Awesome.
16 to, thank you, 16 to 23, it's more so high touch one on one coaching for young women, specifically for obvious reasons. I know what it's like to be a young woman. And
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
helping them with like where to sit in the classroom, how to take the most advantage of office hours, but also no is a complete sentence. No one is entitled to your time, your body, your this, your that. You don't have to feel peer pressure to do things you're not ready to do. Having those real conversations with them that they might not want to have with their parents. And then finally, tying it all together, I'm now doing more workshops at different ages. So, whether that's working with moms and fathers, again, teaching them how to stay in communication and keeping those lines of communication open because, as we know, as young people get older, sometimes things shift. But it doesn't have to shift in a bad way, it can just shift gently. And then also working with college students and things just to, again, help them make good decisions. So, as a umbrella just to close it
Yeah.
all up with a nice little bow. I am a big sister in real life, and I know that there is a war on childhood innocence, creativity, critical thinking skills, and I'm deciding to not just see something and say something, but do something as well with my brand, the Laptop Life Coach.
Oh,
Oh, thank
wow.
you.
Wow. So, so important. As we spoke about earlier about, the, um, when we talked about how important it is to have goals and set and safety and all of the
Yeah.
Hmm.
things that we talked about through telling the stories of these Girl Scout memorabilia that you said. So that is phenomenal, really phenomenal. And we'll have to put that in the show notes. Deborah, did you have
Thanks.
something that you
No,
wanted to say?
I'm agreeing with you.
It's just phenomenal. It's so important, and I've not heard anything like that, and it's really very valuable. So I thank you for
Thank you.
your important work in the world. And Deborah,
Yeah.
did you want to add a little something? Because you did talk a little bit about your work, but as we're kind of closing out, I wanted to give you another
Yeah.
opportunity. Yeah.
I call myself a serial entrepreneur. I've always been on the creative train in life and did not love my work in not like I mean I absolutely loved my work, but I did not love the 9 to 5 and constrained structure of like traditional workplace, kind of lifestyle. And when you think creatively, I think, sometimes you get inspiration in the middle of the night. You got to wake up and record it or whatever. I am also an artist and a musician. So a lot of those young life development, the way that I create and express myself led to finding a lot of success with creating businesses that solved a problem. One of the businesses, the biggest thing that I've done is I launched New York City's first ever mobile plant-based food truck. So in 2007, we took an old US postal truck and transformed it and built a kitchen. And we started by doing basically getting sponsors to pay for all of the organic food and everything, because we didn't have the capital to just start. We didn't have the audience to just start selling, and we didn't have the capital to just give it away.
Yeah.
So we would drive around like the ice cream truck, but instead of being ice cream and sugary food that was going to give you, like not be good for you, we were selling fresh juice, smoothies, and plant-based food. And that turned into a citywide catering company. I do have a background in marketing and sales. I worked as a marketing director for arts organizations and dance organizations, working with children's dance organizations in New York City.
Wow.
So I was the operations manager of that business. We ran that business for 14 years, right up until the pandemic shut our doors. And at that point, we had, multiple mobile units, about 5 citywide pop-ups. We were partnered with like PayPal and LinkedIn and all the big tech people. Plus, we were doing things like events like Fashion Week, or, we would partner with like fashion brands and do big events for them and build basically a juice bar in their spaces. And we had a
Awesome.
couple of flagship spots throughout New York City.
Wow.
And so, but the main engine of that was being run on basically an email list, right? Email and really smart use of technology. And my background in marketing just being applied to these new, like that's when Twitter first came on, and there was we had basic very first looks at what's now social media, and I was like, this is it, like we're going to do this. And so we were able to quickly grow our business. And so I just have a lot of experience and background with online marketing and sales. And I've sort of pivoted. Once the pandemic shut down the in-person business, it was kind of a blessing in disguise. It was a very hard hit. We had to obviously like close a huge operation, but with the time and the space to kind of consider what was next, one by one, women were coming to me who were in-person service providers who did not understand online technology or marketing or sales, and who were these like, healers, and women who were leaders, and women who had very brilliant life experiences and just didn't understand, we had no income, right? They were freaking out because they had no way to make money. And so I started a free Wednesday night group meeting where I would just literally open a Zoom, which was also new, and say, okay, what fire can I help you put out? Like, what can I help you with? And it was everything from how do I like set up the basic, anything from like the very basic suite of tools in Google to like build a website to, any of the technological pieces and all the tech stuff, which I happen to be pretty good at,
Yeah.
all the way to like, what can I actually sell? How do I build the offer? To then how do I talk about this? Then to how do I streamline sales? Then to, oh my God, this is working. How do I scale this? How do I do, set up EINs and accounting and banking and all of the basic things that are the foundations of business, but in the online space. So that has grown. That's something that I've continued to do. I work with beginner entrepreneurs who are in their sort of like maybe first to third year of business, who don't yet have the foundations of their online marketing system set up. And I run a group program for that.
Wow.
It's called Foundations. And it's really designed to help you like really lock down the very basic stuff, because the mistake that people often make is they go to market trying to sell things, but they don't have answers to very basic stuff, and they don't have their ecosystem sort of grounded and set up. So they run into technological issues, financial issues, and they waste a lot of time and money, or they start trying to do ads when they don't have clarity on how they serve. Like, so we do all the very basic foundational stuff. And then separately, I work with entrepreneurs who are in a different phase of their business where they're scaling it. And I help them with much more with like just strategy and sales. But I love working with women because there's just such a need right now for more women's voices in the ecosystem. I really believe strongly, and I'm, dedicated and committed to helping more women tell their stories, just like you gave us the chance to do today.
Yeah.
Really understand the value of their worth and their stories and their work, because we are not that far away from a time when, unpaid domestic labor was an expected exchange. My mother wasn't allowed to have a credit card, in her own name, right? In the 50s, right? So like, this is really real, right? I see in just one generation above me or two, like what life looked like for women and how we have these
Yeah.
opportunities now to like equal the playing field. And so really I'm dedicated and committed to helping women who are in the helping field, the healers, the helpers, the service providers, the people whose hearts are always on their sleeve and would do it all for free anyways, to monetize it, to make money so that they can have their healthcare set, their retirement plan in place. They can own a house, they can afford their car payment. They're not worried about high quality food when everything is like
Yeah.
dangerously being, pulled off the shelves. Like we live in a dangerous
Yeah.
world. And so money in the pockets of more women to me is going to be reinvested back into communities and to
Absolutely.
teach, like Ayana, everything that you just said, I had, prickles on my skin because I'm like, thank you for doing the work you
Yes.
do. And like, let me help you.
Oh,
You know what I mean? How can I support that?
Yeah.
Because this is what we're here to do. And so
Yeah.
I'm dedicated to helping women get out of their heads and get into their souls and get aligned with the work they do and just get confident, get visible. I was thrilled to get asked to come back for the Women
Yeah.
Getting Visible conference.
Yeah.
Those ladies are amazing. Christina and Amy are
No.
truly, truly, truly gems. And so this is going to be a fun, which is a great segue to say, anyone listening and watching, please come to this event in DC and meet us in person.
Yes, 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 yes. That's a perfect segue into it. Um, and thank you. I thank you so much for joining me today for Martifacts and other things that matter. Other things that matter.
It's a great
Um,
name.
I have hosted, let's see, probably 450 in-person events
Oh my
over the
God.
last almost 15 years. And I've 4 years into my podcast, and I have never once had anybody at any of them bring any Girl Scout memorabilia at
oh
all.
wow!
So
Woohoo!
thank you for being my first and really giving me, like you were saying, the aha moments that you had during it. I'm like, wow. Like I said, when I visited the museum in Savannah, there was a lot of like, wow, I really didn't understand that the structure, like Girl Scouts and what it means, but it's got a huge impact. And thank you, Ayana, for to let me think it's still going strong. It's
Yeah.
still out there. And and that's another thing, people listening to this as well, you know, find a Girl Scout chapter, get involved in whatever way, support it in any way that you can. Buy those cookies.
They're still so good.
They are. I agree. I agree. And thank you, thank you, thank you. It was such a pleasure, and I can't believe that it's like just a little bit over a month when I'll be with you all in DC.
Yeah, October
Yeah,
9th to
thank
the
you.
11th. If
October
anyone is
9th.
in the DC metro area, or if you're
Yeah.
interested in traveling for an amazing women's conference, this is a fabulous room to be in. I was a part of their event in Minneapolis.
Oh,
And, you never know going into a business conference what the vibe is going to be. There's so many, I've been to so many conferences and I've, spoken at a lot of events. And sometimes you really do feel like it's how to put this, maybe driven by the ego a little bit and people are trying to
yes.
impress each other and there's a lot of like people like Instagramming everything or whatever. This event, the one that I attended in Minneapolis, it was such a heart-centered event. There was so much connection with a powerful amazing women but also just a lot of vulnerable and real moments, and I left feeling completely filled and really motivated. And so I invite everyone to come and experience that with us in DC. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. And that was my experience in DC last year at their the first event. And the same thing with the 333 Collective. It's I've been, like you said, to different things, and it does seem a lot of positioning. I think actually a lot of fear. Um, and so in with Christina and Amy, they're just wide open, welcoming, warm and welcoming. It's like a big hug.
Yeah.
And you step away with lots of actionable things to do in terms of getting visible. Because as you said, Deborah, And we have to get visible.
Yeah.
You know, we have important healing work, important work in the world. Part of it is getting visible. And as painful as that might be for the majority of us, it's necessary. I joke about how show and tell was like the Toastmasters for toddlers. Um, to get us to feel comfortable in front, because nobody's going to come knocking on our door, you know, for what we have to find a way to feel comfortable. And Amy and Christina just provide everything that's necessary for you to feel more confident to get up there and be more visible. So
Yeah, including that they literally open an open mic for people who were not asked to come and speak, who are not already on stages.
yeah.
Anybody that wants to tell their story, there's an entire segment where you're invited to step up on the stage where all of the keynote speakers have just spoken and tell your own story. And like that, I think was the most powerful thing that I saw all weekend.
Yeah.
Like watching some of the women that stood up and spoke, I was like quite moved. And so,
Yes. So
you know,
please,
they're literally
if you're-
giving you a spot to do your own thing.
So
It's
come,
amazing.
join us, even if you don't want to get on stage or not, but we highly encourage it to try your hand at it, because if you're listening and you're doing important healing work in the world, more people need to know about you and the work that you're doing. So thank you so much, Deborah and Ayana. I'll see you in just a little bit over a month, and hopefully
Yeah.
anybody listening, you'll join us and see us there.
Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Marty, for having us.